I spent 2.5 years in Vietnam during the Vietnam War, and I was never as afraid of dying as that night standing in my house in the mud. It was a very frightening
I was going to look and
experience.
see what was wrong, and I looked up. I could see sky, and I thought, the house is gone. No need to worry now.
That roof was new.
Nothing you
They
can
got a
do.
good grip on that roof and just snatched it clean off. I'm talking about snatched it clean off.
By, the door was sounding. I felt like, what is this? You know, I felt like the building was moving.
That day started like any other day, except they kept saying possibility of severe weather in the afternoon.
I was awakened by Gabrielle, who was hitting me when I was asleep. She was saying, get up, get up.
I decided I was going to ride it. About the time I started to get on it, I heard Channel 12, the local weather station, say if you're in the vicinity of Route AC, take cover now.
So I got out of bed and I actually stepped into a foot of mud right in my bedroom.
I even talked to my dad, you know, is this okay in a hurricane? And he said, this is my first time seeing this. This is not what's supposed to happen.
I grabbed a pillow and a blanket, dove behind the couch, which was in the middle of the room. All of a sudden there was this horrible noise, glass breakage, timber shattering the way it sounded.
And
I said, oh God, it's just me and you. Take care of me and get me through this.
Of a cinder block wall came from a couple of blocks up the street and broke through our kitchen door and ended up right in the middle of the kitchen floor. And that's
I've been
what
working,
let the mud in.
going on 30-something years, and I lost everything in one day. Yeah. I mean, it would be good if I could replace that in 2 or 3 years, but there's no way.
Coming out, looking at his house, and the roof.
Somebody
just
came up the
out.
road with a big piece of machinery and scooped the rest of my house off the highway so the traffic could get through. It was kind of like,
They were
well, that's
crying,
the end of that.
desperate because they couldn't find us.
So that was the beginning of a bad experience.
Almost about to cry because I know we were hit hard by this hurricane.
And I'm just, like I said, I'm just praying, hope, man, within the next 20 years, I never had to experience something like this ever again. Ever again, because you got photo albums and stuff like that, you know, memories from years, you know. Yeah, I'm 58 years old, and you can never get them things back.
2017 once again raised the bar for damaging extreme weather across the United States. So we decided to go meet with people directly affected, from Georgia to California, Montana to Texas, Missouri to Puerto Rico, to share their experiences and the long-term impacts of this new and expanding reality.
Never ask why somebody didn't get away from a flood. The information cannot be communicated fast enough. You suddenly are running through your home thinking, what is it I care the most about? And you're trying to get it upstairs if you can or into
running
an
as fast
attic.
as I could, yelling flash flood, trying to get these people to be aware.
And the water actually went down and went, phew, dodged a bullet there, and then they released the dams.
Nobody thinks that it was coming, but it was fatal.
Scariest, most intense experience of my life.
It's like a, you know, like a big monster coming on, you know, it was attacking like a big.
It was super loud. I mean, all the debris was kind of blowing around, all the insulation was swirling around us, and mostly trying to hold on to our dogs and, you know, console the kids because kids are screaming.
The street had the scariest, very metallic, machine-like sound, kind of like a tank, of grinding boulders and cars and telephone poles.
Playing the tree somehow just came out of nowhere, like boulders and cars and other things, and rammed into the side of home.
Absolutely, it was stunning. There were boulders the size of tour buses.
So when a tree comes through the side of a house, kind of all normal kind of construction timelines are thrown out.
Burned 11,000 acres in one day, and it was so hot, it completely decimated.
The fires that were in central Montana were unstoppable.
Coming out of the house, we see like a desert. This was
really something. I mean, it was very apocalyptic.
And this just is not normal.
So I pulled up, I see the work truck next to some boulders, and then you realize that, wait a minute, these boulders are actually sitting here, they came from the hill, like there's not part of the job site. It's like, whoa, the sun comes up and you actually see the intensity of the damage. It's like, man, it's unbelievable.
When I got here, it was like no house, half my shop was gone, and just shit was everywhere.
Over 2 million cubic yards of soil, millions of pounds of stone, you know, thousands of trees, houses, cars, all of it mangled together and then sent across the community through houses, around houses, everywhere.
And the cat was in the middle of our bed, and the bed was an island.
2017 freeze was devastating for several reasons.
Out into that blueberry field. It was so sad because they look like raisins.
It's pretty devastating knowing that you work hard every day to get the things you get, and then you come out in 15 seconds, everything's gone.
Even after Maria hit us, it lasted about 2 months, the crying. We were without water, without electricity for 5 months.
That are in college with me, they lost everything.
2017 was our smallest crop ever.
On our farm, we lost everything. We didn't pick the first berry. It was very, very
It's
sad.
more than I think we've ever lost before.
Everything you work for, whatever, you end up dragging it out to the road and piling it up and waiting for them to come pick it up with a trash truck.
I want to cry. I want to cry.
Well, the business down the street, I'd say about 4 of them didn't recover, didn't come back, and we don't know what happened.
We can't do another year like this.
I'm sorry. I can still remember that day. It was really sad.
You just want it to be over. You want it to be over. Whatever it is.
9 months into 2018, this year already has the 4th highest number of billion-dollar extreme weather events on record. In fact, as we assemble this video trailer, our eyes are irritated, our breathing hampered, the sun obscured by smoke from a fire raging nearly 200 miles away, the most deadly and destructive wildfire in California history, which follows California's largest wildfire ever in Mendocino this July, which itself followed the 2017 Thomas Fire, California's previous largest wildfire.
What we're seeing globally and nationwide in terms of the increase in frequency and increase in severity of the storms and weather-related disasters, everybody needs to start considering how they're going to prepare themselves for a disaster.
We should all have a way to get off of this place quickly. I want to know, are there any ships going to be picking us up?
There was a young man who didn't want to scare his children here in town. And he looked at his wife. As most men do, we go out to the front porch after when the tornado sirens go off. Not very smart, but we go out to see what's going on. And he didn't want to scare his kids, so he came in the door and he turned to his wife and he said, "The train's coming. The train's coming, let's get the kids downstairs." And their house was totally destroyed. So it doesn't matter where you are or where you're from, the train still, when the train comes, you respect the train. So